وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر وعبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Alhousaini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Alhousaini.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Baladi. Today is Friday, 24th of April. It's very cold, but they promised us that's going to be warm later and later in the week, hopefully. It's really hard to believe that it's spring, but you know, this is Michigan and we're not complaining. The sun is out and we're glad to be with you, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Khalil Hachem and I'm the editor of YaMichigan.com, the fastest growing digital network in the Middle Eastern community. Visit us at YaMichigan.com for local news and information. You can download our app at the App Store or iTunes, YA Space Michigan, to keep up with news and information and local deals 24 hours a day. With us this morning in the studio, Adam. Good morning, Adam. How are you? And we have a great show for you today. Dr Sahar Khamis will be with us, Rama from Dreamy Children's Center, and we'll be talking about child development a little bit. And then also Dr Suwan will be with us to discuss allergies and how to deal with them. We will be glad to talk to you as well. The number here is 248-557-3300. Again, 248-557-3300. We'll be glad to take any calls if you want to comment or have asked question about the subjects at hand, or if you have any other issues you want to talk about or ask about, you know, whether it is in Arabic or in English, please give us a call. Again, the number here is 248-557-3300. I believe Dr. Khamis is with us. Is that correct? Good morning, Dr. Khamis.
Good morning. How are you doing, Khalil?
I'm fine. How are you? And thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. This is really a great honor, and it is our privilege and honor to recognize Dr. Khamis, Dr. Sahar Khamis, as an ambassador for peace by the Universal Peace Federation, a United Nations affiliate. You know, this honor is awarded to individuals who promote universal moral values, strong family life, interreligious cooperation, international harmony, renewal of the United Nations, and responsible public media. And I think that is the area that you were awarded for, public media. Is that correct?
First of all, let me thank you so much for the invitation, Khalil, and also for the kind congratulations that yourself and the U.S. Arab Radio team has extended to me. And indeed, it's been my honor and pleasure to be part of the U.S. Arab Radio team over the last 18 months, almost 1.5 years now. This is, of course, an honor indeed to be awarded this Ambassador for Peace appointment, as you mentioned, with the Universal Peace Federation, which is UN-affiliated body working to promote international harmony and interfaith dialogue and interreligious understanding. And indeed, these are the kinds of areas I have been most active in over the last few years. Of course, as you know, I'm a professor at the University of Maryland.
Exactly, and this is what I wanted to really mention also, is that you are an associate professor in media at the University of Maryland, a media commentator and public speaker, and you're an expert on Arab and Muslim media, and the former head of the Mass Communication and Information Science Department. Is that in Qatar? University?
Yeah, it was at the University of Qatar before I came to the U.S. and started my appointment with the University of Maryland 8 years ago. I cannot even believe it's already 8 years ago. Just time flies.
Before we get ahead of ourselves, you know, please tell us a little bit about you. You know, where were you born and where did you go to school, and why did you want to get into you know, education? Because you're you know, from my understanding, you're a great educator.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm a native of Egypt, originally from Cairo, Egypt.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be a television anchor woman, a broadcaster. So that's the part of my dream that has not been fulfilled yet.
Okay. Hopefully it will very soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I started the first step, which is presenting my own radio show, as you know, on US
You know, we should blame it on Layla. Layla should have started a television instead of a radio.
Well, I'm trying to convince her to go in this direction, and we hope that this will be the next step in our professional journey together, is to move from the radio to the TV arena, or to do both, actually, simultaneously. But I've always been passionate about getting my voice out there, and I think education is one way to do so, affecting other people's lives through a good education. Being a good educator, a professor in the classroom, interacting with your students is definitely something that changes people's lives.
Absolutely.
And so does good media. When you also present a good program and you get your voice out there in the community and you reach out to people and you try to connect with them, that's another way to really kind of impact and influence people's lives as well. So I really see some kind of harmony, if you will, between both, between the education world and the media world. And I'm someone who believes that education should not just be in the classroom. You should take it out in the actual world, in the real community, to try to impact an even larger and broader, a range of people out there in the world, and try to reach out to them and influence their lives. So I hope that this marriage between my academic career and my professional one, and my, passion for interfaith dialogue and for peace activism and for media, really I hope that all kind of, harmonizes and unites together in one mix to try to help others.
Sure. So which school did you go to? Which university did you graduate from?
Well, I got my BA and my MA from the American University in Cairo. So I am an AUCN, as they call it in Egypt, AUCN, if you graduate from AUC, the American University in Cairo. And I taught there for a number of years also as an adjunct faculty. And I got my PhD from the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom.
Okay, from England, right.
Yes, the people in Manchester are called the Mancunians.
Yeah.
I'm also a graduate of a Mancunian institution, which is the University of Manchester in England. And then I worked also as a tutor at the University of Manchester briefly before going back to Egypt, teaching at several universities in Egypt, Ain Shams University, Cairo University, and of course my beloved American University in Cairo.
Yeah.
Then I got an offer.
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
To work at the University of Qatar. So I worked there for 3 years and was also the head of the communication department over there. And then I saw the ad at the University of Maryland asking for someone who's an expert in Middle Eastern media. I said to myself, I think I know someone who may be a good fit for this ad. So I applied for the position, and thankfully I got the post 8 years ago and was promoted and tenured last year.
Wonderful. So you're now your tenure track professor or associate professor, and for those who don't understand the process, after being an associate professor, what's the next step? Is it assistant professor, then professor?
No, I was an assistant professor, then I became an associate professor.
And the next step would be professor.
Yes, the next step is to be a full professor, hopefully.
Hopefully soon. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Listen, people who work hard, eventually, the Lord rewards them. And you are working very hard, not only on what you do, but also serving the community. And that really goes a long way. And, the Lord doesn't really always look favorably on people who do that. So,
thank you so much, Khalil. I think that success in life is a mix of different things, really. Part of it is your hard work. Part of it is your determination and your desire not to give up. Part of it is good luck. And part of it definitely is God's help and support, which should really come at the first, order in the priority. You should always put God's help, your goodwill, your strong work, your hard work, determination, and also there is a bit of good luck in the mix, I must admit.
You mentioned that, and I just feel compelled to ask you. This luck thing I never understood. How do you change your luck?
That's a big question. It's a philosophical question. I don't know if you can really, quote-unquote, change your luck, but there's a saying that says, that good luck is often disguised as hard work, and that's why many people cannot see it.
Yes. I truly believe in you. Because, when I think about it, I think, about luck, and it's like, there are people who are lucky, but if you're not lucky, what can you do? Is work hard, prepare, be prepared all the time.
Work hard, Be prepared all the time.
Absolutely.
Knock on all the doors until the doors open, right? Yeah. And if the doors don't open, you create your own door.
Absolutely.
That's very important. But there's also good luck in terms of meeting people, companions and friends on your journey who can be a source of help and support, right?
Absolutely.
For example, my partnership with Layla, I think that has been, really a good luck for me and for her to work together. And there are other people in my life journey, that have been helpful, both personally and professionally. And it would be ungrateful of me not to say that, because indeed, you don't just reach success on your own. There are other people who help you, whether it's your parents, your family, your friends, your teachers, your educators, people who work with you, your colleagues. All of these people, of course, have a share in your success, and you have to acknowledge them as well.
I feel privileged here and honored that I'm talking and I'm associating with two ambassadors for peace, because I think Layla also was recognized as an ambassador for peace, and now you are, and it is our pleasure it's my pleasure to be talking to you. And I want to ask you, absolutely, and I want to ask you, how did this work? Did somebody nominate you? How does it work?
Well, it really was an appointment that was given to me at an event related to the United Nations. I was speaking at the Women's National Democratic Club in Washington, D.C., and I was part of the ceremony of celebrating the International Women's Day. And I have been working with the Universal Peace Federation on several other occasions and in several other activities. So I think it came as a recognition of my efforts in the area of interfaith dialogue and peace activism and community engagement. And that's what this award is all about. So it was really a nice, pleasant surprise to be awarded this appointment at the United Nations International Women's Day celebration in Washington, D.C.
Wonderful. And what happens now that you're an ambassador? What do you have to do?
You have to continue doing what you are doing and expand it even more. You have to reach out to more people and try to impact more lives and engage more in community activism, peace activism, interfaith dialogue, which is indeed something I'm very passionate about and intended to continue, because I always believe in the notion of the public intellectual. As I told you earlier, I don't believe that education just happens at the university or in the classroom. You should take it out there in the real world and in the community. And this is exactly what I try to do through my engagement in interfaith dialogue activities. I'm a member of the Jewish Islamic Dialogue Society called JIDS of Washington, D.C. I was a supervisor for Muslim Women of Maryland, which is affiliated with the MSA, the Muslim Student Association, Project Noor of the American Islamic Congress, which tries to promote and foster understanding between Muslims and non-Muslims. So I'm always trying very hard, besides my academic career and my publications and my teaching, to actually also broaden my community engagement and my involvement in all of these activities. And I hope with this appointment as Ambassador of Peace that I actually continue to do so even more.
Wonderful, wonderful. It sounds like a lot of work. Now, this is, anything comes from the UN, basically, they don't pay for anything. This is really more pro bono work, is that correct?
Yes, it's completely volunteer work. So is the rest of my work that I'm doing in the community out there. But I always feel that this is really what gives value to your human life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have a caller, but what we're going to do is in 1 minute we're going to take a break, and then after the break we will continue with Dr. Khamis, and then we will take the caller. Please stay tuned with Radio Baladi.
Jumana Kayrus. You've seen her images on giant billboards across the metro. Jumana Kayrus. You've seen her images on buses across the city. Now get to know Jumana Kayrus.
Most people who sit in my office across from my desk are hurting on so many levels. One thing people do not know about medical malpractice is that the statute of limitation, meaning the time that you have to bring suit against a doctor, a hospital, is 2 years. In medical malpractice, that's a very, very short period of time. Not every lawyer is an advocate, but every lawyer should be an advocate.
Let Jumana Kayrus protect your rights. Call the law offices of Jumana Kayrus at 1-866-YOUR-RIGHTS, extension 100, or visit yourrights.com.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products. because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziad.com. That's www.ziad.com. Ziad, quality products from our family to yours.
Life for Relief and Development is a nonprofit charity that has been providing humanitarian aid and development to people and communities regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background for over 22 years. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life rushes to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Life also has development projects that provide medical relief, water purification, educational programs, relief for orphans, and much more. Your help and support can greatly improve these efforts. All donations are tax deductible. For more information, please visit our website at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's lifeusa.org, 248-424-7493.
Welcome back to Radio Baladi. This is Khalil Hachem, and we're talking to Dr. Khamis. She has been selected as an ambassador of peace, and the number here is 248-557-3300, and we have a caller. We have a Jerry on the line. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Mr. Khalil Hachem.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning and happy Friday, TGI Friday.
Same to you.
Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Khalil Hachem.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, I want to say good morning to our new Peace Goodwill Ambassador, Dr. Sahar Khamis. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Dr. Sahar Khamis, of course, what you do for the community, for the Arab, American, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Mandai, Sabi, Armeni, you are doing a great job, and you are a part of the team of our Ambassador Layla Alhousaini, and I do believe we are proud to have a bunch of ambassadors, like also in the Chaldean community. I believe Ms. Jihan Daman, Ms. Nidal Garmu. So we are very proud of you guys. You are a medal in our chest to be proud of you and to continue serving the Arab American. And Dr. Sahar Khamis, I do have a question for you.
Please go ahead. We don't have a lot of time.
Thank you. Mr. Khalil Hachem, to Dr. Sahar Khamis and to Layla and to all the Goodwill ambassadors, do you guys think that you could make a team of the Goodwill ambassador to visit the region, our home country, like Iraq, Syria, Yemen, to provide any humanitarian help to our people? Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, yeah. I think they'll be more than happy to go if you pay for it, Jerry. Go ahead, please, Dr. Khamis.
Actually, I just want to thank the caller because he really made my day with the kind words of encouragement and support, and sometimes you need this kind of appreciation to just give you more, energy to keep doing what you are doing and do it even more and at a larger scale. But to answer his question specifically about visiting the region, well, that's definitely something that is hoped for. It is really about bringing, the work for the common good, if you will, outside of just the U.S. boundaries to the broader, of course, world, and especially to our Middle Eastern and Arab world for sure, especially with all the traumas and the humanitarian crisis and all the suffering in the region, which is unfortunately in abundance, whether you're talking about Iraq or Syria or Libya or many parts of the Arab world are suffering now. And it's important that we try to create this kind of link and these kinds of bridges. And I very much hope that my work as an ambassador for peace will extend not just nationally, but also internationally and certainly in the Arab world specifically.
Absolutely. Media is a very challenging topic in the Middle East, as you well know, and you know this better than anybody else because you've studied it and you lived it. There aren't that many independent media outlets. And media no longer tell people really exactly what's going on. It's more or less, public relation firms for certain groups and people and governments and so forth and so on. How can we promote more independent media?
That's a very important point because really, unfortunately, like you said, the idea of independence or idea of freedom, first of all, there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all freedom. We have to understand this very well. And something I always talk about whenever I'm invited to comment on the topic of freedom of the press or freedom of expression, I say, listen, let's put these principles, in check. Number one, there is no such thing as 100% complete freedom anywhere, even in the so-called most liberal democratic countries, which do have a larger or wider margin of freedom. You have to still understand that this freedom is constrained by certain considerations, whether it's political, whether it's economic, whatever. And the second point is there's no such thing as one-size-fits-all freedom. This notion of freedom is shaped pretty much by the political system that you are functioning within, the economic and social structure that you have in place, the different push and pull mechanisms of power and interest. All of these things affect the margin of freedom. But I think in answer to your question that it really all starts with education. As journalism and media educators, we should really try to instill this whole notion of what it means to have an independent media. How important is it? How do you go about trying to implement it as much as possible? It all starts with good education and then good professional practice. You need to prepare new cadres of professional broadcasters and anchor people and media people who are well-trained and at the same time have high ethical and moral standards.
Absolutely.
So that when they go out there in the real world, they can put all of these great practices into the real world in a most effective and independent way.
Because this is really what's missing right now in the Middle East. I'm sure you know the name Ghassan Twaini. He died. He passed away a few years back, and he's the one who started the Nahar newspaper in Lebanon. And he once said, one of the biggest problems in the Middle East is that we don't have a media that can tell people the truth. And the truth is that, the Middle East is in the rut. And instead of just making and painting a rosy picture or whatever it is they're trying to do for the people they're trying to propagate, and as you said, this is something that we're going through right now, even in the Western countries, where independent voices are vanishing, and what we end up with is, people trying to sell us certain policies, and media individuals have become more or less players in the game instead of independent voices trying to put a check on government officials.
Absolutely, Khalil, and the idea here really comes to one word: polarization. Okay. I always say there's a difference between pluralization or plurality and polarization. To have plural voices is always a good thing, right? Diversity is always good. I have my view, you have yours. That's a healthy and vital process. But when you have polarization, meaning people are so deeply divided and fragmented that they are standing on two completely opposite, bipolar opposites of a certain issue, and there is this kind of high degree of tension and unacceptance and intolerance towards the other, that is a big, big problem. You see it very clearly in our Arab media, unfortunately. It's very clear that people stand on bipolar opposites and they have very little tolerance for the other opposing view. I always say we can disagree, but hey, let's remain friends. There is no reason for us to become enemies.
Even if we don't remain friends, if what we need to do is respect each other, and that's what's really missing. I don't have to agree with you, but I can respectfully disagree with you. The other issue also like to comment on, and the fact that we don't, and the media does not, in the Middle East specifically, promote citizenry. We have allegiance to our groups, our tribe, our whatever it is, but we don't really have allegiance to our nation. And this is where we fall short, I believe, when we're specifically the media, when they're trying to direct an issue, one way or the other.
Exactly. And it comes back again to the idea of the culture of lack of tolerance. Once you have intolerance of the other, and you're standing on completely opposing, sides of the spectrum, you're not even willing to meet the other person halfway or midway, or as you said articulately, to respectfully disagree. I can disagree with you, but in a very respectful way. This is not there. And therefore, the concept or the notion of citizenry, working together collectively, it has to come from joining hands. I have to be able to join hands with you, to work with you collectively. If I'm not willing to even accept the idea that we are different and I'm standing on the other end of the spectrum, and I have disrespect for you, and I'm trying to stigmatize you. This is a very dangerous process, and it only creates even bigger and bigger divisions and fragmentations and makes the whole idea of working with the other almost impossible, unfortunately.
Absolutely. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. Please identify yourself and give us your question.
Hello, my name is Said.
Yes, Said, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say there is like 22 countries, Arab countries, and I don't see none of these countries are good to their people. I see their people leaving those Arab nations. I see them everywhere, all over the world.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, why is it these countries are like that? They are not normal. Always hurt their people. They don't help their people.
Thank you.
I have the reason. I know why. But I like to hear from you, too.
Okay.
And thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling. Well, Dr. Khamis, I think that's a fair question. I mean, why do we have all these problems in the Middle East? I mean, since most of the countries are fairly young, they got their independence, around the 1940s, and their boundaries were drafted by the colonial powers, and then since then, all we have is conflicts. Why is that?
Well, how much time do you have, Khalil? We need 200 hours in order to answer this question.
Well, Saeed wants a quick question, a quick answer.
In 1 minute.
1 minute. We got 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
All the problems in the Arab world in 1 minute.
I think it's a fair question.
Well, it is a fair question, but of course it does not have any simple or easy or quick answer, as you well know.
Yeah.
It's a combination of many, many different factors, very complex factors, right? You have colonialism, as you just said, the region itself has been under colonial, imperialistic, influence for a long time. And, whenever you have occupation or you have colonialism, there is always the notion of, divide to conquer. And indeed, this has been the case, that countries have been divided upon themselves, even within themselves, I should say, not just between themselves. Even within the same country, you have so many, as we said before, divisions and deep polarizations. But there is also the educational crisis. The fact that we don't have a good educational system in many of these countries, there is still a very high, staggeringly high illiteracy rate in my own native country, Egypt, which has taught the whole world how to write and how to read, and the word paper comes from papyrus.
Yeah, no doubt we have a great history, but the problem is we don't get along. The problem is
exactly,
and I see it more of a lack of a leadership, on the whether it is religious or civic. We really don't have the sound leadership that pulls us together, and we end up using religion and civility to divide us, not to bring us together, and this is where the problem is.
Absolutely.
I understand the role of colonial powers, but I mean, right now, I think we need to be responsible as people to really make a difference. So,
absolutely, and you see there's a combination of other factors besides colonialism. There's poor education, there are health issues, there is poverty issues, there is unemployment, there is dictatorial regimes, and really it's heartbreaking, because with the Arab Spring, I remember very well 4 years ago, if I would be giving such kind of media interview, I would be very upbeat. I was very upbeat in my, public speaking and my lectures and my, talking. I was always like, oh my God, the Arab people have made it. We are now changing history. We are really going forward. And I was very, very upbeat in my, in my scholarship, in my writing, in my talking. And 4 years later, unfortunately, I'm not sure that I'm all that optimistic anymore. In fact, I'm much more pessimistic because of the realities on the ground.
Hopefully we have better days for the future. And again, I really want to thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Khamis, and congratulations. This is a well-deserved appointment, and we are so proud of your accomplishments, what you've done in the community, and we know that, you're going to be doing a lot even more in the future. I want to thank you so much for being with us, and good luck to you. And
thank you very much, Khalil. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
No problems, and goodbye. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be talking to Rama from Dreamy Children's Center. Stay tuned.
Are you going to start up a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood, 248-442-9292. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 248-442-9292. New Concept Products and Designs, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. For more information, visit newconceptproducts.com, 248-442-9292.
الافتتاح الكبير لأسواق زمزم على 24065 أورشارد ليك في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية، فريش كاري أوت، جميع أنواع المعجنات وصمون الحار، أيضا صواني الكامبو المشكلة، لحوم حلال للجالية العربية والإسلامية الملحمة بإدارة قصاب الجالية المعروف سلوان جربوع. Call them at 248-476-0300 248-476-0300. أسواق زمزم للمذاقي، عنوان زوروهم على 24065 أورشارد ليك في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز، أو call them at 248-476-0300 248-476-0300. أسواق زمزم للمذاقي، عنوان.
It's never too early to get your child on the right track. From their first words to first grade, Dreamy Children's Center in Troy works closely with parents to provide an experience that goes beyond early education. The highly qualified and experienced staff use a variety of programs that can help nurture important personality traits like responsibility, independence, problem solving, motivation, and respect. They also have educational programs ranging from preschooling for infants, toddlers, transitional toddlers, and pre-K to Montessori-approved programs and bilingual curriculums for young children. They're open from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., can provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between, and can also arrange for after-school pickup. Dreamy Children's Center in Troy is located at 37373 DeQuinder, just above 16 Mile Road, and can be found on Facebook at Dreamy Children's Center. Ask about the free preschool program. Call today, 248-680-9170, 248-680-9170.
Welcome back to Radio Baladi. The number here is 248-557-3300, and we were talking to Dr. Khamis earlier and about her appointment to be a peace ambassador, and Saeed called and really posed a wonderful, wonderful question. This question, we encounter it all the time, is that why is it that the Arab world is like that? And it's so unfortunate. We have in the Arab world 22 Arabic states. We have the vast amount of oil. We have very intelligent people, great history, wonderful people. If you traveled prior to this period in the Middle East, you would have really seen, Damascus would be in the most continuous city, Iraq, the civilization, Egypt, Jerusalem would be in the birthplace of all three religions, and the list goes on and on and on. All the wonderful traits of being a good spot in the world, yet we have nothing but problems, nothing but conflicts. And I do, yes, we don't have the leadership there, but I also blame the people as well. You can't just keep blaming. I remember in the old days we used to blame everything on either Israel or the United States or the colonial powers and this and that, and I'm sure that each country is looking after their own interest. Why don't we look after our own interest? That is the problem. We don't promote citizenry. We don't promote how can we be all Lebanese and disagree but remain Lebanese? How can we be Egyptian and all disagree? Why do we have to take a fight to the street? Why don't we have this dispute at the ballot box? And all of these organizational things that can happen requires quite a bit of education. We have good seeds, but yet to germinate into a good, beautiful tree. Hopefully soon it will, but right now, again, it's a lack of leadership, it's a lack of understanding, and it is a lack of direction, directing people into the right path. A few items to mention to you in the news. Recently, there's been studies done about businesses doing well and sales are doing well. So here in Michigan, and what that means is that more jobs. Hopefully, currently the job numbers are really good, and they're going to even get better. Google has changed its the way it does its ranking in favor of websites that are responsive, and responsive means that you can view the website on any platform, specifically smartphones and tablets. And small businesses will be affected by this because most of them, it's going to cost them money to change from static to responsive, and this change took effect on the 21st. The war in Yemen continues, and unfortunately Arabs continue to kill each other. Hopefully they'll find a way to solve and resolve their issues peacefully. Arab and Muslim groups have requested from the State Department for TPS, temporary protective status for Yemenis who are either leaving Yemen because of the conflict or are here temporarily to be protected as well. The issue in Inkster continues to, Inkster, Michigan, that is, continues to evolve with the police chief resigning after the video or the damning video that appeared with Mr. Dent being attacked, and now it's in the hands of the courts. Gas prices continues to rise. It seems like every week they rise by 10%. I never understood why they continue going up and down, but they are. Although I'm not complaining at $2.40 or $2.42 a gallon, it's still still a good bargain comparing to last year. I think last year it was about more than $3.50. It's like $1 less. So for some of you like myself who have a car that consumes gas, this is good news. There has been some activities by ADC, that's Anti-Discrimination Committee, and other members in the community asking us to urge our congressmen and women to vote against the Patriot Act extension. As you will know, the Patriot Act allows intelligence agencies to continue selectively spying on Muslims and Arab Americans. And the Patriot Act is really bad news for our community, and now it's up for extension. Senator Mitch McConnell wants to extend it, and ADC and others are calling us to call our senators and congressmen and representatives to vote against it. This is something very, very important. Census Bureau, this is good news. A lot of groups in the community have been working to include Arab Americans on the census list. And, right now, as you will know, if you fill out the census, it does not ask us whether we're Arab Americans or from the Middle East. And the census claims that there are 1.8 or 1.8 million Arab Americans in the United States, while Arab Americans believe that there are 3.7 million. So the numbers are really different, and hopefully in 2020 we will be able to find out whether what the real number is, assuming that our community participates in the census. This is something very important, and we need to do quite a bit of education to gear our community toward participating in the census. Right now, the Census Bureau has agreed to include that, to test that, and then for it to be included on the census form would require congressional approval. And when the time comes, I think it's in the fall, we will be asking you to call your congressman and call your senator to approve adding the Arab American designation on the U.S. Census. This is something very, very important. This is some really good news. I was looking at the log the other day. It says a Muslim teen in New York wants to be a firefighter. This Muslim teen is wearing a headscarf, and she would be one of the first in the nation if she ends up being a firefighter. She's gone through some training, and she passed that training, and I really admire her tenacity and her goals to become a firefighter in New York. Or anywhere in the United States. This is what the American dream is all about. This is something very important. Women, the perception that women in the Middle East are forced to wear headscarf, and then when women come to the United States, and those who want to wear headscarf sometimes are discouraged, or they're told no. And this is really a disappointment, because this is the land of freedom, And if women want to wear a headscarf or not to, it should be up to them. And if they observe to, or they decide to observe modesty and wear a headscarf, we should give them support. I mean, why should we tell women what to do in a place like America? And hopefully that this would not would hinder her to become a firefighter, and we wish her the best. Again, the Mediterranean diet continues to grow in popularity. This is some really good news out of the food, and the Food Network, in which talking about Mediterranean diet. As you well know, Mediterranean diet, which is Middle Eastern diet, is built on beans and wheat and rice, and it's very healthy for you. And the key for health there is that it is built on, there's a lot of vegetables in it, not as much meat. In the old days, people in the Middle East were not well enough or wealthy enough rather to include poultry, fish, and meat in their diet daily, and they were forced to create recipes that are rich with other ingredients that are really good for you. And now we're finding that such a diet is really good. If you recall what your grandmother used to cook and how you used to cook it, and now we reminisce about it, but it was really, really good diet. I recall my grandmother building a small makeshift outside, and we used to cook over open fire. And whatever we ate, it came from the backyard. It came from, our garden. And, whether it is wheat, whether it is vegetables, and it was delicious. She was a lot of influence on me on how to cook really healthy food. Mediterranean diet also includes fish. As you well know, the Mediterranean has a great selection of fish, and it's very tasty as well. And when we're talking about Mediterranean, it's not just Middle Eastern. Mediterranean is also some of the European countries, like Italy, like France, like Greece, like other nations in that area, and they have also in these regions registered healthy living as well for following a good diet. Again, this is a really good diet, and it eliminates some of the other issue is on the diet is that the fact the lifestyle is different as well. People used to walk around more. People used to, go to the work in the field, and their lives was far more active than it is today. So it's not just what you eat; it's also the lifestyle that that you live. What do you think, Adam? What's some of your favorite Middle Eastern food that you had a chance to try by now?
I like rock kibbe. That's pretty good. I know it's meat, but I don't know. You know what? I have a cousin-in-law. He's actually Lebanese, and whenever I go over there, they have all kinds of crazy, great things going on. I have no idea what it is, but it's incredible. I love it. It's
good.
It's awesome.
Sounds good. This is more of the comment that I normally get. Where people say that. I like the food, I like the variety, and I like the way it tastes. And kibbe actually is a good dish, and although it is raw, but actually it is marinated, with spices. And if you don't eat it every day, I think it's a good variety to really test that. So. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with Dr. Suwan. Please stay tuned.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايواي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم call 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية. الافتتاح الكبير لأسواق زمزم على 24065 أورشارد ليك في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية، فريش كاري أوت، جميع أنواع المعجنات وصمون الحار، أيضا صواني الكامبو المشكلة. لحوم حلال للجالية العربية والإسلامية الملحمة بإدارة قصاب الجالية المعروف سلوان جربوع. Call them at 248-476-0300 248-476-0300. أسواق زمزم للمذاقي، عنوان زوروهم على 24065 أورشارد ليك في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز، أو call them at 248-476-0300 248-476-0300. أسواق زمزم للمذاقي، عنوان. باتسيز للعرائس، أجمل مجموعة أزياء ومن أرقى دور الأزياء الأمريكية، إضافة إلى أكبر تشكيلة لتسكين الحفلات المناسبات ملكات الجمال ومن أشهر المصممين
David Tuter, David Bow, and McDougall Coucher.
أسعار مناسبة، خدمة متميزة، تصليح الملابس بمهارة فائقة. مصممة الأزياء باتسي بشير، خبرة أكثر من 34 عاما في عالم تصميم الأزياء. للمواعيد اتصلوا على 313-908-1393. يقع المحل على 5050 Greenfield between Ford Road and Michigan Avenue. Call 313-908-1393. باتسي بشير، علامة مميزة في عالم الأزياء.
Welcome back to Radio Baladi. The number here is 248-557-3300, and we're going to continue. Now we're going to start with Dr. Suwan. She's Nesreen Suwan. She's one of Chicago's premier specialists with more than 32 years of medical practice. She's a board-certified in neurology, pain medicine, neuromuscular, and electrodiagnostic medicine. Good morning, Dr. Suwan.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to talk to you this Friday morning. It's cold, but the sun is up, and it's really nice that you join us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I also want to mention Dr. Suwan is very talented. She plays the piano. And what else do you do, Dr. Suwan, other than medicine?
Playing piano.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have some wonderful children, and also you dedicate yourself to or your time to your children as well. And so we're going to be talking about allergies. This is spring, and allergies are in full swing. So if you want to tell us a little bit about what allergies are and how they develop, and what the symptoms, and how can we manage them.
So, Khalil, basically, allergy is an abnormal response of the immune system or exaggerated response of the immune system. Usually, our immune system is supposed to attack bacteria, fungus, and viruses, but in people who are allergic to specific, I would say, substances or materials or medications, or other, stuff, I would say that they are allergic to substances that they are not supposed to be harmful. They are allergic to harmless substances. So, I would say that examples of this could be pollen, mold, animal dander. It could be also, like medications, food. So basically, I would say allergies are very common. And what happens during an allergic reaction, first of all, the person will be exposed to this harmless substance. It could be by inhaling or swallowing or getting, in touch with the skin. So after the person is exposed to this substance, there will be a series of events. And first of all, the body starts to produce something called antibody. Mm-hmm. And this antibody is going to stimulate a blood cell that is called mast cell to release histamine. And histamine is the cause of all of the allergic symptoms that we will be complaining of. And I would say that the allergic reaction or the allergic symptoms will be based on the type of exposure. So basically, if somebody's inhaling, a substance that he's allergic to, will be complaining of itchy or watery eyes, sneezing, itchy or runny nose, rashes, hives as well. And if the person is exposed to a substance by swallowing it, in which we call food allergies, there will be stomach cramps, vomiting, and feeling sick as well. It could be also diarrhea. Now, with insect bites or stings, the person may have local swelling, redness, or pain. Now, the allergic reaction could be very mild, it could be moderate, it could be severe, and it could be very severe, where a patient will go into anaphylactic shock, and anaphylactic shock is life-threatening. It is life-threatening, and it may require immediate medical attention, and symptoms may progress very rapidly, and the patient should be actually treated immediately, either like in the emergency room, or if they have like EpiPen, handy, it should be used immediately, to prevent worsening of symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Which one is the most common allergy?
I would say, there are like so many types of allergies. I want actually to mention about, dog allergies and cat allergies. Can you imagine that, 36% of individuals in the United States, they have dogs. Mm-hmm. It's, really very difficult to tell people to give, to give up.
Yeah, they're attached to their animals. I mean,
it's impossible.
Yeah. You can't give them the bad news and say you can't have a cat. I mean, personally, I can't be in a room with cats for more than 48 hours because the fine hair affects me. And in the Middle East, we had cats, but they were indoor, outdoor. We weren't really enclosed area. So it didn't bother me. But here, I know that, and I like cats, but I can't have them. So.
And to tell you the truth, also, people may be very attached to their cats and dogs. And this is the problem with allergies, that, the most important thing that we can do to treat allergies would be to avoid the substance that is causing the allergies, and it's really very difficult. Yeah. If we are talking about spring allergies, and spring allergies are so common, how we will be able, to avoid breathing the air? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really very difficult. So, I would like also, to talk a little bit about spring allergies, because, we are right now in the spring season, and lots of people are having, the problem of spring allergies. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is the time of the year where, lots of people will have the seasonal allergies, and as the trees start to bloom and the pollen is released, into the air, so allergy sufferers will be suffering, and they will be having the runny nose and difficulty breathing and itching. And this is the problem, allergy symptoms could be disabling.
Basically, the pollen goes into our noses, and then the reason is it goes into our noses, these little fibers in the nose kind of sense them and get allergic to them. And
exactly, okay. And they are stuck to mucous membranes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we will be having like all kinds of symptoms, like itchy eyes, watery eyes, itchy nose and watery nose.
What can we do to really either avoid them or deal with them?
Most important thing is to prevent exposure. So I would say that, we should stay like indoors whenever the pollen count is very high, and they usually, it's something that we can actually check on Google, or, it will be in the news as well.
Yes, absolutely. Most news sites have that, and they tell you what the pollen count is.
Yes. And then, if you are indoors, you should keep doors and windows closed, because what is the benefit of being indoors?
Exactly.
And then everything is open. Yeah. And also, we can change the filters.
Yeah.
in our home all the time, and also wash our hair after going outside.
Okay.
And we need to vacuum as well. And I would say that we should also reduce the other things that may cause allergies, like, for example, the house dust.
Exactly.
And also exposure to animals, which is basically impossible. But, I would say that, maybe we should just, keep the animals, in specific rooms and not to let them into every room, especially, like bedrooms. But, the problems that, the dander of the animals will be everywhere.
Absolutely.
Even in places where animals were not even, allowed in.
Yeah. And the forced air issue inside the homes keeps circulating these allergens, inside from room to room to room. So they're going to be all over the place. So.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, it's impossible, to say, okay, I will not be having, the dog right now anymore in the house just because of allergies, I didn't see this happening, So basically...
Medication-wise, what can we do?
Medications, there are so many types of medications, and I would like actually to mention that most of the allergy medications are over-the-counter medications, and this is a little bit problematic when I talk about it, because some people will just take the over-the-counter medications even without seeing a physician. In my opinion, it is very important to check with your primary care physician.
Absolutely.
And the primary care physician may prescribe the medications that could be over the counter. I would hate to see people treating themselves. Most of the medications are antihistaminics, and there are 3 generations of the antihistaminics. The first generation, like Benadryl, is the one that would make you sleepy. And that's why, they came with the second and third generation, like, Allegra and the Clarinix and Zyrtec. Although I really do not know if they are as effective as the first generation. Other than the antihistaminics, there are the decongestants like Sudafed, and there are also nasal sprays. And the nasal sprays could be decongestants, and they could be also steroid nasal sprays. They are available over the counter, but there are some prescription medications as well. We have also allergy shots after doing the skin test and finding out what may cause the allergy.
And this is something that a doctor would really select, not us.
Yeah, and I just would like to mention that when it comes to allergy shots, it's like a treatment of 3 to 5 years, and you should be finding an insurance company that would pay for it. And sometimes they may work, and sometimes they may have complications. So basically, it's very important to see a physician, and the physician will be able to tell you what is the best way of treating your allergies.
Wonderful. Well, I really want to thank you so much for this valuable information. As always, the time goes by so fast when we're talking to Dr. Suwan because of her talent and her information. I want to thank you so much, and I think we should revisit this, soon, because this is a very important issue. There's a lot of information. I want to thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, I want to thank you as well, Khalil, but I want also to mention that nasal irrigation is like a very important thing that we can do, and it could be very effective.
Absolutely.
So, if, somebody's having allergies, they should try this as well.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next month. And please keep in mind, life is much better when you have more happiness and less furniture. So keep up the good faith, and we will see you next month. And goodbye. Bye now.